We're here with KCDC, Kyrist, Collette, Enada and Charli. And we're about to talk about all things drum and bass because three of you are on the Drum&BassArena 2019 album, which kind of reflects and represents how good the scene is and how exciting and varied the scene is. So let's just talk about drum and bass in 2019. We're in a good place at the moment, aren't we?
I think so, yeah.
Stronger than a long time, I'd say.
Yeah.
Really strong.
Yeah, I think there's a good new wave of kind of producers that are coming through, a new kind of younger generation, a new sound as well that's coming through, which is quite cool.
And new explorations as well. There seems to be a lot more explorations into dubstep and 140 stuff. Guys like Alex Perez and Icicle have gone back to it. Obviously you did as well,
yeah.
Kyrist. You were one of the first this year. And Enada, you played dubstep as well, really. So as a collective, you represent that. So what are your thoughts on the more open-minded state of mind in the scene at the moment?
I really think it's quite refreshing. I think that not limiting yourself to one genre, especially as a producer. I mean, I don't produce, but as a vocalist, I like to try and mix it up a little bit. And the fact that producers are switching between one day making drum and bass, another day making dubstep, and holding events that kind of showcase multi-genre nights, I think is a really good idea. It involves more people.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting as well when you have drum and bass producers that make dubstep, because it gives it like a whole different edge to it.
Yeah.
And it sounds really fresh, different to like someone that's been making dubstep their whole life.
Yeah, it is a fresh perspective, definitely. And you can go on that journey, really, which is something that you guys do frequently then when you play, really, is that ability to take it from one place to another.
That's how we see it with our sets. It's like going on a journey. We start with the 140 and then
raise it up.
obviously end up with drum and bass,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's nice.
Awesome. I mean, this is interesting from both of you as singers, really. I mean, is it, how do you, because have you done much singing on dubstep tracks? You'll have to excuse my ignorance there.
Not before.
Done one track with Deep Heads last year, but again, not something that I've had a lot of time to focus on with just the amount of drum and bass that I've been doing, but definitely something that I would look into for sure.
Awesome.
I like the space that it has in there. We were saying this, weren't we, with the gig, there's a lot of space to do vocals and put your stamp on it, which is nice.
I think that's something that we're going to work on with Kyrist, to make some 140 and have Collette and Charli singing on them.
Amazing.
We have a bit of time to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard getting us all in the same space.
We're so busy.
Yeah, because we're lucky to get all four of you in one space at one time.
Really?
This is
Yes,
quite a
we're
rare
lucky.
thing,
Yeah.
really, isn't it?
It's like the second time we've been
Yeah.
We've only actually done one gig, the four of us so far.
in a year.
Which was last weekend.
Yeah.
Cool, so a lot of people's exposure to you guys will be through the radio shows, the online radio shows at the moment. So when people see you in a club or when they hear your next radio show, what can they experience really? We talked about the journey, but kind of, you know, explain how the whole set comes together with all of you offering a different sound and a different angle to what you guys do.
So we're quite conscious with our sets to add a little bit of all of our own styles. So obviously the dubstep element for me, making sure that the girls have like vocals to sing over, and then obviously Kyrist mixing the kind of drum and bass that she plays in her sets as well.
But not too heavy.
Not too heavy,
No,
yeah.
I've got
we have
to make
careful.
it singable over.
Yeah. I mean, we will chuck in the odd kind of like real dark roller and stuff, because
Oh,
why
yeah.
not? But
Yeah.
we do have to be conscious of the fact that Charli and Collette need to be able to like sing the vocals over it, and we also have to be like that with the dubstep as well.
But we also feel like we don't have to sing on every single track
Yeah.
anyway, so they can play techie stuff too.
You just host for them kinds of bits, don't you? Yeah.
It's a nice mix of hosting and vocals, isn't it, when we get involved and helping the crowd.
And our voices work really well because we do like harmonies and stuff like that, and it goes well. We think it goes well.
There's something interesting that Hybrid Minds did earlier on this year with their tour, and they've started doing a concept with bringing in more singers and having more kind of live performances and things like that. And I think there's still a massive gap in the game for that type of stuff.
Yeah, there is.
We've got a feature later on in the episode where I talked to a lot of MCs, including Sophie Marie and Miss Trouble, where they were saying, you know, we still need to be booking more female hosts and things like that. Are things heading in the right direction there? Are more people responsive
It's
to that?
definitely better, but it could still be a million times better.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's lacking massively, but it's better than it was.
Especially in the vocal-driven labels, I think, the ones where you have like kind of particularly like vocalists that are used again and again, but maybe don't get booked, for kind of shows and stuff. It kind of begs the question as to why they're not getting booked. You're happy to play the kind of tunes out and such, but they'll have like maybe a male MC spitting bars over it rather than the original vocalist that sang the tune singing it on stage, which is why I think people, again, like our show because we get to sing our own tunes on stage and the girls are playing them, and that's kind of what it's intended to do. You make the record and you want to perform it.
Speaking of vocals, I've noticed one particular sample stands out to me this year, but there have been other cases where people are using vocal samples from sample packs, from Splice or something like that, when there's like a multitude of amazing singers out there, really. I know that some producers would say that they find it hard to find a vocalist, or that there's too much of a time frame in between writing the track and they want to get it out there, so they just put a placeholder vocal which becomes the main vocal. But I mean, what's your advice to producers out there who are looking to work with singers who want that real dynamic on their track and not a sample? And how can people maybe not get in touch with you directly for vocals, but yeah, what's your take on people using samples and not reaching out to the actual talented singers themselves?
I can understand why they did, like you just said. Sometimes they just want it quickly done, like, oh yeah, I like this sample done, da, da. And sometimes, you know, it can take a while for us to actually get inspired by the track and write the song and lyrics and the melody and then record it and blah blah blah. So I get why, you know, they use the samples, but it's always better with the original.
Yeah. And I think it depends on your intention with it as well. Like for me, I see working with people as a process. It's not just the product. So if when I'm writing a tune, I want to do it with that person, I don't want them to send me something, I'll write over it, we work together. And I feel like maybe samples sometimes are used, like you said, for ease of time and just kind of getting tracks out there, whereas working with a vocalist does take longer, but the end product is, in my opinion, way more worth it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I guess there's quite a bit of back and forth there as well, because sometimes I guess, and I've heard stories of when, you know, you'll do a full vocal, then you'll send it to the producer and it comes back and they've used like 2 lines.
I knew what he was going to say before he'd even said it.
Like, oh, what about that bit? That bit was really good.
So were you guys just talking about them making some productions and stuff? How far have you got there? And I guess, you know, if you're not together that often.
Not far yet. It's just an idea that's in our heads, and
we are
going
to get around to it.
It's just time. We're all busy with our own projects at the moment.
Yeah.
But this is a long game thing anyway for you guys, isn't it?
Definitely.
And what I really like is that you all cover very different aspects as, you know, a producer, singers and a DJ. You're an autonomous unit in that way. You can cover everything, and I think most producers are always waiting to find that vocal and stuff, and they're always looking for vocalists. You guys have already got that together. You can bring that together. Just with the 4 of you, you can do everything really there, isn't it?
Yeah, we're quite lucky in that sense, I think.
Is that something that kind of consolidated or galvanised, you know, when you thought about getting together as a collective? Was that something that you thought about, like, cool, we can cover all bases here, or was that just a lucky bonus?
No, we
I don't think so.
We didn't think about it like that. It was weird because we just were like, we're just friends and we love the same thing, so let's like put on an event, and then from that it just kind of went to the next step and then the next step, and then it ended up us doing DJ sets as well and then live performances, so it's just kind of come out of nowhere. We didn't think about what it was going to be, and it's just kind of happened this way.
Natural progression.
So I mean, this isn't the only collective that you're part of as well. There's also the rotations, and it just seems that Bristol has just been like the kind of spiritual home of collectives.
I would say Bristol's the music hub of the UK.
Yeah,
And also
Northern London.
in terms of supporting people as well, like I find in London or some other cities it can be quite competitive amongst promoters and club nights, whereas in Bristol they have like the Bristol Promoters Forums and things like that, and people tend to work together, and I think there's enough space for everyone to do their own thing. That's the thing, like a lot of the collectives, they share the similar reasons for starting it, but they maybe play different subgenres or different,
they're all different in their
different
own
crowds,
right.
so everyone's got their place.
Awesome. I mean, rotations was really exciting because there's so many of you. It's like 23 or something like that. And I think if anybody wants to get up to date with a lot of the new generation artists we mentioned earlier, really, like rotations is probably a really good place to start because there are just so many really exciting people in there, really. So how did that all come about? Was that another one of those kind of natural things, really, where you all just kind of gravitated?
Yeah, thought with it.
Brief and Revo is kind of his brainchild.
It's his baby, isn't it?
He kind of messaged us all and was like, oh, do you want to like make a collective? And we were like, oh, okay, like
Why
this
not?
sounds really cool. And then sort of like more and more people got added into it, and kind of came together that way.
Are you comfortable with me calling you a supergroup? Some people don't like it. Some people don't like supergroup. But I think if you're all individual artists doing your own solo thing and then you come together, that for me is technically a supergroup. So who would be in your supergroup? You got to pick 4 people. You can discuss this.
To add to us.
Should we choose one each?
Oh, your own. Oh, yeah, you can choose one
to
each.
add to
No,
our
to
group,
add
or
to you.
is
So
it
you're a
new
supergroup who you might go in a clash with against, or go out, you know, and have a party with, or something like that. But who would be in your
I'll take that
supergroup?
Can I choose Skeptical?
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
choose Caliban.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought I
Perez
was
is
going
going
to
in
say
there.
him, yeah. Icicle or something like that.
Ooh.
Maybe
there we go.
SP, maybe
Yeah,
SP.
chuck a
on
bit of
the mic,
SP
get
in as
SP
well.
on the mic.
And Sergeant Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I mean,
big
the list is
dubstep.
endless.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.